what did you say again? Energizing, soothing, rejuvenating,
and soothing techniques. Pranayama.
Yeah.
Of pranayama.
Yeah. Yep, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's the title. Now let's start.
Okay. So, and do we want to give a little introduction about what we covered last week and what we're doing this week?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm Dr. Deepak Chopra, and I'm very happy once again to have here in dialogue Eddie Stern, master teacher of yoga, pranayama, and everything else that yoga has to do with the evolution of consciousness and enlightenment. We are continuing our series on pranayama and controlled breathing. And we did discuss a lot about prana, and we did the resonant breathing last time. Eddie, take it from here. What are we doing today?
Okay, so today we're going to do 3 practices. The first one is a cleansing and slightly warming practice called Kapalabhati. The second is a calming but also slightly warming practice called Ujjayi. And then the last is a soothing and refreshing practice called Bhramari.
How do these techniques work? What is the physiological basis of activating these experiences, soothing, rejuvenating, energizing? What's the biological response with these techniques?
Okay, so for the first one, Kapalabhati, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing abdominal pumpings. And we'll be exhaling and pulling the belly in and inhaling, relaxing the belly out at a fairly, steady pace. And what this is doing is, we have this tremendous connection between the microbiome and the nervous system within the intestinal walls, which is communicating through the vagus nerve up to the brain. And whatever respiratory patterns are occurring in the lower part of the body are sending messages up to the brain to tell the brain what condition the body is in or what conditions the body is facing. So, for example, normally when we inhale and we're relaxed, the belly comes out a little when we inhale. When we exhale, the belly comes back in. When we're stressed or angry or very fearful, the diaphragm will freeze up a little and the belly will freeze up too. So our breathing pattern becomes less smooth, and that message is immediately sent to the brain. The brain responds to it, and then we have an emotional or a mental reaction to the outside environment. So for example, if we get startled, the first thing that happens is we go, even before we know what startled us, and it doesn't register yet as fear or anxiety, it registers as a physical response. And then after that, a thought will come. So thought is sort of one of the later things that comes in the whole process of responding to the environment. And we take thought to be primary all the time, but really it's an after effect of something our body has already processed a little bit. So when
say, may I interrupt? Would you say thought is then probably interpretation of a sensation, or basically thought is an interpretation of a sensation in the body, which could be also a result of emotion, imagination, stress, whatever, right?
Exactly. And it's going to be an interpretation of sensation based on whatever perceptive senses we have been developing our whole lives. So if we have developed this perception that stress is always bad, and that anything that comes up unexpected is always bad, if we have developed that as a learned response, then anytime the body encounters that, we'll automatically have a thought that says, oh, this is negative, I need to be stressed out. But if we switch our perception to think, oh, stress is a challenge that will help me to grow, then if we are surprised by what our environment presents us with, we will take that as an opportunity to learn and grow from it. So the interpretation of thought, like you said, I think really accurately, is also a learned response that we can begin to shift through yoga, meditation, conscious living.
Would you say, and we'll get to the three techniques very quickly, but would you say then that the body, being a thinking body, it is already anticipating situations, circumstances, events before even there's conscious analysis of the experience? The body has already interpreted the experience, whatever that experience is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you've written about this a lot, and you've done a lot of study on this and a lot of thought on this. So like 100% that the body is a field of wisdom and intelligence and connectivity. And the thought part of our being, this, rational thought part, is not quite as evolved as the sensing and feeling. So in fact, you've written about before that our brainstem has been developing for, I think, 320 million years, and the limbic system area has been developing for about 100 million years, and the cortex region of the brain has been developing for about 60 to 70,000 years only. But yet we spend most of our time in the cortex with thinking and measuring and describing and planning and strategizing and seeing how we can, get ahead all the time. But this is the most immature part of the evolving brain. So that when we can get in touch with our survival functions and not have them rule us, but become very comfortable with them, we're tapping into very ancient structures of wisdom, intelligence, and expression that this is what the yogis were doing. Like if our survival function, let's use one of them, breath, is a survival function. If we stop breathing, we know that we die. Therefore, the unevolved mind will say, I need to breathe at all costs. Otherwise, I won't exist. And if I don't exist, who will I be? And if I don't know who I will be, then I'm filled with fear. But the evolved mind of the yogi says, you know what? Breath is just an expression of life, and life is always moving. Who will I be if I don't breathe that much? Who will I be if I slow the breath down, or I can hold the breath at will for minutes or hours at a time? Where will my consciousness be situated in that moment, rather than being bound to and wedded to the survival function? So the yogi makes friends with the brainstem and the limbic system and the survival functions. And the bhogi, or the enjoyer of life, is afraid of the survival functions. We need them to maintain our sense of identity at all costs. And if anything goes wrong with the survival functions, we panic. We run to whatever it might be to avoid looking at it. But the yogi is not afraid.
So finally, before we ask you to demonstrate these techniques, you and I have talked previously about the 4 stages of the evolution or emergence of thought: para, pashanti, madhyama, dekari. I found that very useful in having an insight into the mechanics of how thought emerges. Essentially, thought is really a reflection of karma, isn't it? It's either memory or desire, sanskara, vasana. But there are certain stages through which it emerges. Why should we know about them, and how does it help?
How does it help knowing about these 4 stages?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would venture that, and I think you're better equipped to talk about this topic, to tell you
I
that.
want it from the yogi's point of view.
Well, we take, from the generalized person point of view, we take thought for granted, and we think that our thoughts are real. We think that our thoughts are the things which represent reality. But all they are descriptions of the way that we can perceive reality through our limited bandwidth, right? As you've spoken about many times before. So right now, I'm speaking in words, and I'm trying to communicate in such a way that what I'm saying is representing what I'm thinking about. Hopefully it makes sense and you understand me. My spoken words, which are strung together in a hopefully coherent manner, one after the other, come from a thought process where I'm trying to string my thoughts together one after the other to create a basis for articulation. So this is external speech, and then I have the second level of mental speech. Mental speech is thinking, and it's going to be either images or words, also based on feelings and stuff like that. But where do those arise from? In the yogic tradition and in Kashmiri Shaivism, this ability to structure thinking in that way, internal speech, comes from this next lower level of intuition, of feeling, of sensing. And this is the unmanifest word. So the manifest physical words are coming from manifest thinking patterns. The manifest thinking patterns come from the unmanifest sense of what it is that I want to articulate. And that's intuition. That's all those types of things. And what is that resting on? This intuition and sensing and feeling is resting on the infinite potential for anything to be expressed, which is Para, the supreme. And that is the unmanifest. You could liken it to the pradhana in Sankhya of the unmanifest creativity, which is just lying dormant, waiting to express itself in a myriad of forms. So we have the unmanifest, infinite potential, and then that filters into sensing, feeling, intuition. And then that consolidates into being a little bit delineated in a sequential fashion. That's thinking. And then I use that thinking to express myself through words. And those are the 4 levels of speech and the 4 levels of consciousness in that particular modality.
So why I find that useful is when you practice, mantra repetition, Bij mantra, the experience is going from very clear thought patterns to more ambiguous, more cloudy, more maybe in the domain of moving from certainty to uncertainty, predictability to unpredictability, and then more ambiguity, paradox, even contradiction, the cloud of knowing beginning to emerge, and ultimately going all the way back to, you said, the infinite potentials for experience. But I see the value in understanding the sequential unfoldment, because just by its very nature, the practice is taking me in the direction of pure creativity, which is para. But on the way, I'm getting into clouds of possible creative worlds and experiences, because all worlds are experiences.
Well, by the way, I think you've tapped into that very well, because you've written like 90 books, 95 books. So obviously you've tapped into the infinite potential of language. I mean, how else would you be able to do that?
Yeah, no, I'm surprised myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is great. Now let's do the 3 pranayams. I think people will enjoy the introduction. And then hopefully benefit, as I do, from all your teachings.
So I have a quick question for you. For single nostril breathing, do you have any problem breathing through your left nostril?
I don't, personally.
Okay, good, great. So what we'll do is this really nice version of Kapalabhati, which is spoken about in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, where we're going to do 20 pumpings of the breath from the belly. When we're done, we're going to inhale through both nostrils towards the back of the throat, which is called Ujjayi. And then we're just going to close our right nostril with our thumb and exhale out the left nostril. And this is a traditional description of Ujjayi. And so one of the things which is nice is the left nostril is considered to rule our intuitive, cooling, moon, lunar nature. So it's very calming as well. So you have this energetic thing of pumping the abdomen, followed by a warming breath, followed by a cooling breath, and it's very balancing. Okay? So for the folks who haven't done this before, the Kapalabhati is that you relax your belly, and then it's like you're blowing your nose or blowing out a candle through your nose, and then you inhale comfortably. So you go, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so we'll do 20 of those pumpings with the belly, followed by a long inhalation into the back of the throat, making a whispering sound. We'll exhale out through the left nostril. Is that too complicated, or that's okay, Deepak?
That's beautiful.
Great. Okay, let's go ahead. Inhale comfortably. And 20 times begin. A long exhalation now. And then breathe in through the nose to the back of the throat. Place your right thumb on your right nostril. Exhale out the left nostril slowly and quietly. And at the end of your exhalation, rest your hand on the knee. Close the eyes, breathe quietly for a moment, and just notice anything, any sensations, any change. Change in the feeling of your nostrils or the belly or anything. Okay, let's do a second round. And the exhalation is a little energetic, and the inhalation can be just slightly longer than the exhalation. And you might have noticed that Deepak was holding his hand on his belly to feel the belly moving, and you're welcome to do that as well if you'd like to. Anything you want to add to the instructions for that, Deepak? Anything I might have left out?
No.
Okay. So let's inhale and let the belly rest into your hand for a moment. And then begin 20 times. That's 20. Pull the belly in. And now breathe in through the nose to the back of the throat, making a whispering sound. Close your right nostril with your right thumb. Exhale quietly out through the left side. Just like you're letting the breath fall out from the nose. And when you're done with your exhalation, put your hand on the knee, breathe, and let your awareness fill the body. And notice what you feel. Okay, so 2 rounds is enough for that one, maybe? Should we move on to the next?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay, the next is a beautiful pranayama called Bhramari. And the way we do it is we inhale through both nostrils, and we exhale through the nose, and we make a high-pitched humming sound like a bee. And when we make the humming sound, there are different places we can hum. One place is if we make the sound of like ma, and that's at the lips. And another humming sound is if we make the sound like king, and it's an NG sound way in the back of the throat. And that's the area that we want to be stimulating for Bhramari. And one of the ways we can do it is we can gently smile as we hum, and that brings the resonance of the humming way back in the throat. So it stimulates the palate. It goes up into the nasal cavity, and it stimulates production of nitric oxide, which is an anti-inflammatory molecule. And it also stimulates the reflex we have towards self-soothing and self-regulating. So for example, if we're feeling really content, we go, If we eat something good, we make the yummy sound. So this is basically making the yummy sound, which is a self-soothing sound, but elongating it. So we have that emotional thing happening within the limbic system. We have the nitric oxide production, and then also the interesting things that happen with vagal tone through the humming sound. Okay, so we're going to do this 2 ways. The first way is just simply making the humming sound, and then we're going to add in a mudra afterwards to it, okay? So you can inhale through both nostrils and a gentle smile, and then nasalize exhalation going. just as long as your exhalation lasts for. Okay. Did you do it along with me that time, Deepak?
A little bit, yes.
A little. Okay, good. So we're going to do this a second time. And this time, you're going to take your fingers, your index fingers, you're going to close this fleshy part of the ear. And we're going to do the same pranayama, holding on to the ears, and feel the resonance come more inward. So inhale. Okay. Okay, and so next, we'll do that again, and this time we'll do the Shanmuki mudra. So this one's a little more complicated, but I think in regards to what we've been speaking about, it's really applicable. So you've spoken a lot about the vagus nerve and how the vagus nerve is going to not only move down into all the visceral organs, but attach into certain musculature of the face through connecting through nuclei. So one of the places the vagus nerve is going to connect with is in the ear and the cochlea for hearing vocal tone change. Another place is at the corner of the eyes for expression, like we smile with our eyes. And another place is at the corners of the mouth for smiling. And so vagal tone, when it's heightened, will help us with emotional expression and emotional, social emotional intelligence. So Shanmuki mudra, I'll demonstrate. We close this part of the ear with the thumbs, and I'll show you one time, folks. This is going to help stimulate the vagal nerves in the ear. And then we put our first two fingers over the eyes. And the eyes are also, the retina is basically brain tissue growing straight out from the brain. So we're massaging our brain through the eyes here and also resting at the areas on the corners of the eyes where the vagus nerve or the vagal complex is connecting with the nuclei attaching to the eyes. And then we put our middle fingers touching over the lips and the pinkies touching below the lips. So that together is the Shanmuki mudra. And one easy way to come into it, if you're doing this for the first time, is you start with your pinkies right at the point below the lips. And then you put your middle fingers together above the lips. And then you do the fingers over the eyes. And then you do your thumbs in your ears. Perfect. Okay, that looks great. Just so Deepak, you have your middle fingers at your nose, but take your first two fingers and put them over your eyes. And then the ring finger goes below your nose. I said the wrong finger. That was my fault. The ring finger goes below the nose. First two fingers over the eyes. Yeah, perfect. Super. Okay. And so doing that mudra, let's try to do the Bhramari one more time. So inhale and a high-pitched humming sound. And two more times on your own. And then when you finish, you can rest the hands down. Let your awareness fill the muscles of the face and the inner ear. Breathe comfortably. Okay. The Shanmuki mudra is a little tricky to hold all the fingers in place.
Yeah, but once again, this goes here, right? No, this goes here.
Yep.
4 fingers go over the eyes.
Yep.
The ring finger goes beneath the nose and this beneath the lips, right?
Yes, correct.
I got it. And I'm doing this as well.
And it's interesting because these 2 points right below the nose and below the lips here, these are the governing vessel and the organ of conception in Chinese medicine, and they're important points for connecting the microcosmic orbit of the energy flow from the coccyx up the back of the spine over the top of the head to here, and then it connects from here to go down through the front of the body as well. So this is like the circulation of prana and apana that we have in yoga, and this is a connecting point. So you have vagus nerve, brain coming through the eyes that you massage, and then the governing vessel and the organ of conception that we're pressing here. So we're establishing this complete grounded energetic flow when you do that mudra.
Wow. I've been doing occasionally the Arohan, Avarohan Kriya, which is also similar, right? Energy goes right up through the front, all the way up, and then from here it goes to the third eye, and then here and here, and out in space, and then back here, all the way back, descending, starting from the first chakra. But what you explained there is very simple and effective as well.
Okay, good.
So, Eddie, this has been very good, and we can continue our discussion maybe next time, adding a couple of deeper understanding of the 3 bandhas, if we haven't done that properly.
Yep.
We can do that, and then we continue our journey, yoga for enlightenment.
Super.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I feel refreshed, energetic, and soothed.
Fabulous.
Take care, Eddie. Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Bye. Carolyn, bye-bye. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn.
We've only been talking for 24 minutes, so she probably expects that we're still going to go on.
Oh, this is a good.
I think it's good too.
Yes.
Yeah.
How should we get her? Text her, call her? What should we do?
As soon as we log out, it will automatically register, and then she'll get an email that the recording is done.
Good.
Yeah. Was that fine? Was that what you were looking for with the pranayamas?
Exactly what I was looking for. And, without going too esoteric today, we did a good job.
Okay, fabulous.
I'm
Great.
glad we got the Parapashanti in for my education.
Yeah, well, you know more about that than I do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Deepak. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Weird that you guys ended. All of a sudden, I couldn't hear you guys, and I'm watching